Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode with your girl, Audrey Codner-Gibson, MAT, from ACG Math Tutoring. So we're going to work on those foundational skills one more time. One more time. So hopefully you're ready because I'm ready to get set so we can get going. So this time we're going to be solving inequalities using the addition and subtraction. So unlike last time, we were just looking at the meaning of our symbols. So now we're actually going to do some operations with it. So before we get to that, we're going to look at our Common Core standards. So we're looking at ACED.1, AREI.3, and AREI.10. So looking at our exit ticket that we had last time, remember the chicken? The chicken. Okay, so we had to name and graph the following inequalities. So we have x is greater than 7, and we had x is less than or equal to 1/2. All right, so we already named it because our symbol is pointing to the lowest number. So this is going to be greater than. And since we know it's going to be greater than, that means my symbol should have a open circle, okay? Because we're not including 7, so we're looking at all the numbers that are greater than 7. So, weird thing, my graph only went up to 5. That's weird. So, if anything, we should have it going up to 7, shouldn't we? So this should be 6, and that should be 7. So it should be an open circle, and shading to the right all the way to positive infinity. So when we have x is less than or equal to 1/2, remember 1/2 is between 0 and 1. So we're going to have a closed dot right here because it's including that number because it's equal to. And since it says less than, so I'm going to shade everything to the left. All right. So that was the exit ticket from last time. So my mistake on the first part. I'm only human. All right. I think the pandemic's getting to my brain. All right, so let's work on what we need to work on today. So our learning target, that's what you should be saying to yourself by the end of this, is I can solve inequalities using addition and subtraction. So we're going to do this by looking at those guided notes, examples, and also some practice problems. And we're going to close it all out with our normal exit ticket. So helpful hints. So there's a couple rules that we have to abide by, all right? So the rules for solving inequalities, guess what? It's exactly the same as you would solve for an equation. We need to isolate that variable. So that doesn't change, okay? So if I have addition in the original equation, that means I have to do the inverse, which is subtraction, so I can isolate that variable, okay? So once you solve that inequality, you can graph it a lot easier on that number line, all right? So remember, if it's based on the graphing, if it's just less than or greater than, it's going to be an open circle. If it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, it's going to be a closed circle, all right? So let's get with a couple of examples. So we're going to solve these, and then we're going to graph them on our number line. Okay, luckily enough, now I expanded them as a 10 by 10 grid. So we want to get our x by itself. So I notice it's a +6. So that means we have to do the inverse of +6. That means we're going to subtract 6. And whatever I do on one side of the equal sign, in this case, inequality, I'm going to do on the other side. So they're going to cancel out to give me 0, but I don't have to bring the 0 down because I still have an x that's on that side. Now, my inequality symbol stays the same, which is greater than or equal to. And then I just combine my like terms, -3 and -6. That gives me a -9. All right? So my variable is by itself, and we got a -9. So since it's including, so this is greater than or equal to. So at -9, it's going to be a dot. And since they're dealing with greater than, that means I'm going all the way to positive infinity. So all those values at -9 all the way up to positive infinity will make that into a true statement. So now for number 2, we have x minus -7, which is less than -3. So when you minus a negative, what happens? Hopefully you're saying it turns to a positive. So it's really saying x plus 7 is less than negative 3. So now I want to isolate my variable of x. So since it's a plus 7, I'm going to minus 7. So the 7's cancel out on the left-hand side, leaving me with my x. Still got my less than symbol. Now that's negative 3 minus 7. It's a negative 10. Remember, if the signs are exactly the same, you're really adding and you're keeping the negative symbol. All right? So now we're looking at x is less than negative 10. So since it's just less than, it's going to be an open circle on negative 10. And I'm going less than, so that means I'm shading to the left, all the way to negative infinity. Okay, so all the values that are less than negative 10, not including, just less than negative 10, will make that into a true statement. So let's get a little practice in. It's really this simple. Okay, so as long as we understand that you're solving it just like you would solve an equation, but the only thing that's really different right now is because you're graphing it on that number line, okay? So if it's equal to, it's closed. If it's not equal to, it's open, all right? So if I look at this form for a practice, yes, there's decimals, yes, there's fractions, but yes, it's life, okay? So we want to isolate our variable, which is x. So we're going to add 1.5 on both sides. So my cancels out. Then we have our x is less than. So now we want to add 3.5 with 1.5. So we have our 0, carry the 1, put my decimal down, 3, 4, and 5. So we got x is less than 5.0, or we can say x is less than 5, because 5.0 and 5 are very similar, okay? So is it going to be open or closed? It's going to be open because there's not a line underneath it, okay? So at the 5, which I have right here in red, I'm going to put an open circle. And which way am I going to shade? Am I going to shade to the left or am I going to shade to the right? So hopefully you're saying shade to the left because it's less than. So all these values, okay, is going to make that into a true statement, okay, but not including 5. You can get 4.8, you can get 4.964, but you can't get exactly 5, okay? So now for the next one, we have x plus 1/2 is greater than or equal to 3 1/2. So we're going to subtract 1/2 from both sides. So we have our x is greater than or equal to 3 1/2 minus 1/2 will give me exactly 3, okay? If we took half away from a half, you got the whole that's left over, all right? So is it going to be open or closed? It will be closed. The reason why, because we got the line underneath it. So at the 3, I'm going to put a closed or a dot on 3. And since it says greater than or equal to, that means I'm going to shade to the right. All right? So any value, including 3, all the way up to positive infinity, will make that into a true statement. All right? So I really think that we kind of got through this. I know you're probably saying, man, these videos are really short for inequalities. Well, yeah, we're just getting right down to the nitty of the gritty, all right? So hopefully we can say, yes, I can solve inequalities using addition and subtraction. Hey, even the Panda thinks so, all right? So we already reviewed the exit ticket. We looked at our guided notes and examples. We looked at practice, so we did all of that. Now, let's get with our exit ticket. So exit ticket, one problem, all right? So I want you to solve the inequality, then graph it, just like how you did with the other stuff. So as best as you can, go ahead and graph those and then submit them. So as normal, this was great, this was fabulous. Hopefully you were able to get a little information out of it. Yeah, it seems like these are kind of going quick, but guess what? The reason why it seems so much quicker is because you're learning and you're improving. Look at you, pound it, baby. All right, so like always, like, subscribe, and share. Let's get this information out for everybody, because the more of this foundational skills that you learn, the better it's going to help you out when you get to those advanced classes. All right, so as normal, this was awesome, and this is your girl, Audrey Codner-Gibson, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon. And if you have any questions or concerns, go ahead, give me in the comments. Take care.